Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Music thumped through the crowded New Year's Eve party, lights flashing in reds and golds, laughter spilling over champagne glasses. Costumes brushed past one another, feathered masks, sequins, top hats, each guest wrapped in the electric promise of a fresh start. The theme was circus-style fun, playful and bold, the kind of night meant for forgetting worries and welcoming hope. And right in the middle of it all stood Mark Consuelos, smiling, charming, familiar, just as millions of fans had known him for decades. But by the time the clock struck midnight, that smile would mean something very different. Because what began as a light-hearted New Year's Eve would soon turn into a moment that left fans stunned, emotional, and quietly heartbroken. To the world, Mark Consuelos and Kelly Ripa have always been the gold standard of celebrity love. The couple who laughed together, teased each other on live television, shared behind-the-scenes moments that felt real, not rehearsed. Married for nearly 3 decades, raising children, surviving Hollywood, if anyone had cracked the code, it was them. That's why the photos from New Year's Eve looked exactly right. Kelly, radiant as ever, wore a bold costume that hugged her figure, playful and daring. Mark stood beside her, effortlessly cool, the protective presence fans had come to expect. They laughed, posed, danced, friends snapped pictures, social media lit up. From the outside, it looked like another chapter in their long love story. But sometimes the most heartbreaking moments hide behind laughter. It wasn't until days later, during a broadcast of Live with Kelly and Mark, that the story truly began to unravel. The audience laughed as Kelly casually recounted the night. She talked about the circus theme, the chaos, the fun. Then she mentioned the Spanx, how tight they were, how impossible they became at the end of the night. And then Mark added his comment. "I had to wrestle them off her," he said, half joking. The studio laughed, the hosts smiled, but fans listening closely felt something shift. Because Mark didn't laugh the way he usually does. There was a pause, a breath, a weight behind his words that didn't belong to a silly wardrobe mishap. And suddenly, what sounded like a joke began to feel like a reveal. Later that night, after the show ended and the camera stopped rolling, Mark did something he rarely does. He opened up. Not in a flashy interview, not in a dramatic announcement, but in that understated, emotional way that often says more than a headline ever could. New Year's Eve, he admitted, had been harder than he expected. "It makes you reflect," he said softly. "You look at where you are, where you've been, and what you might lose." That was the moment fans froze. Lose? Social media erupted within minutes. Clips were replayed, slowed down, analyzed. Comment sections filled with confusion and concern. Had Mark meant time, youth, or something much closer to his heart? Because when Mark Consuelos talks about loss, people listen. For years, Mark and Kelly have joked about their differences, the bickering, the teasing, the playful jabs. Fans loved it. It felt authentic, refreshing. But authenticity has a shadow side. In recent months, Mark had spoken more openly about change, about his children growing up and leaving home, about no longer being needed in the same way, about watching time move faster than he was ready for. New Year's Eve, a night meant to celebrate beginnings, instead forced him to confront endings. When you've built your whole life around being part of something, the idea that it could shift, that's scary. Suddenly, the wrestling with Spanx didn't feel funny anymore. It felt symbolic. Online, fans began connecting dots. They remembered the recent interviews where Mark admitted feeling emotional about becoming an empty nester, the moments where Kelly joked about independence while Mark looked quietly thoughtful, the subtle changes in tone, the reflective pauses. Was the NYE reveal about marriage, about identity, about fear? No one had a clear answer, and that uncertainty only deepened the heartbreak. One fan wrote, "It hurts because they've always felt like home. Seeing Mark this vulnerable makes everything feel fragile." Another said, "You can love someone deeply and still feel afraid. That's what I heard in his voice." This wasn't scandal. It was something worse.
Kelly,
It was
ever the
real.
professional, brushed past the moment on air. She laughed it off, redirected the conversation, kept the show moving. But fans noticed something else. Her hand reached for Mark's arm more than usual. She leaned closer. Her teasing softened. Behind the humor, there was reassurance. Later, sources close to the couple revealed that Kelly had been aware of Mark's emotional state long before New Year's Eve, that the night wasn't about conflict, but about confronting the passage of time together. She knows when he's struggling, one insider shared, and she doesn't make it a spectacle. She just stays. That quiet loyalty only made the moment more heartbreaking and more beautiful. Celebrities break up all the time. Fans are used to it. But Mark and Kelly represent something different. They represent endurance, growth, the idea that love doesn't disappear, it evolves. So when Mark revealed even a crack of vulnerability, it shattered an illusion many fans didn't realize they were holding on to. If they feel uncertain, what does that say about the rest of us? New Year's Eve, for Mark, wasn't about fireworks. It was about facing the truth that nothing stays the same, not even the strongest love stories. And that realization can be devastating. To be clear, there was no breakup announcement, no dramatic fallout, no betrayal. But heartbreak doesn't always come with endings. Sometimes it arrives as awareness. Mark later clarified that the moment had reminded him to be present, to hold on to joy, to stop assuming there will always be more time. Midnight hits, he said, and you realize you don't want to take anything for granted anymore. That single sentence broke fans all over again, because we all know that feeling. New Year's Eve is supposed to be loud, glittering, hopeful. For Mark Consuelos, it was quiet in the most unexpected way. A moment wrapped in humor that revealed fear, a laugh that carried reflection, a celebration that turned into confession. And for fans, it was a reminder that even the strongest love stories have vulnerable chapters, that even the man who seems to have it all can feel the weight of time at midnight, that heartbreak doesn't always mean losing someone, it sometimes means realizing just how much you have to lose. As the new year unfolds, fans are watching more closely than ever, not for drama, but for tenderness, for the small gestures, the shared glances, the way Mark and Kelly continue to choose each other, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. And maybe that's the real message behind Mark's NYE reveal. Love isn't about never feeling afraid, it's about holding on anyway.